Welcome back, literary slummers, to another episode of HateRead. I'm one of your hosts, Em.
And I'm another of your hosts, Anna. Normally here on HateRead, we like to challenge the other to read a book that we think she'll hate, but during the summer months, we are taking part in a special Slummer Reading project where we are reading the much lauded Animorphs series by K.A. Applegate. Is it lauded? I don't know. I'm lauding it. I'm saying the word laud too many times now.
I would like to go ahead and start off this episode, as we always do, with our ritual, which is where we say in unison,
From the water that gave birth to us,
from the grass
that feeds us,
for the freedom that unites us,
we rise to the stars. So goofy. Freedom is my only cause. Duty to the people, my only guide.
Obedience to my prince, my only glory.
The destruction of my enemies, my most solemn vow.
I, Anna, Andalite warrior cadet,
offer my life.
Excellent.
Is that it?
I'm so glad we did our ritual.
Me too. I really feel better now. I'm really ready for this episode.
Yes. So what'd you think of this book?
I loved it. As with every other book in this fucking series, book number 8, The Alien, was fucking fantastic.
It was really good. I really, really, really enjoyed having Axe as a narrator.
Me too. I didn't realize we were missing out on so much.
I know. And it was nice because as much as I have strong opinions about each of the children, their voices do get a little bit samey sometimes. I think that's fair to say. But yeah, it was nice to have kind of this outsider looking in and getting all the dirt and stuff, and fun revelations in this one.
Yes, yeah. It really took us to another level with this like Andalite Yeerk War.
Yeah, and we got some of the info on Andalite culture that I've kind of been missing. Not so much Yeerk culture. Like I've said before, I want to know all about the Yeerks and how all their shit works. But yeah, there's a lot of fun world building in this one, I think. Well, galaxy building, I guess, technically.
Yeah, the fact that there's still so much to be revealed and explored in book 8 has me really feeling good about the rest of the series, but also like really bummed out that this is going to be the last book we read for a while.
For a while. Let's go ahead at the top here and just mention this is the last Animorphs book we're doing in this bunch. The Animorphs will be back. We promise we're going to keep doing Animorphs. We are looking into doing them more regularly, along with kind of our other content. And this is also the last episode of HateRead, technically, because we are changing the name and rebranding and relaunching next fortnight. So
shit. Rip HateRead.
Enjoy. Man. Yeah, no more HateRead.
Yeah.
It'll still be a lot of the same stuff you guys are used to. We'll get into a little bit more what the changes are going to be at the end of the episode, so you guys are ready and prepared. I think. Are we going to go ahead and announce the name at the end of this episode?
Yeah, I don't think it should be a surprise when it gets, like, they'll be like, what is this podcast in my inbox? Delete.
Yeah. Probably a good idea. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the plot of this book, I guess, since we're here.
Yes. Let's finish talking about Animorphs before we tread in unknown territory.
Some more dangerous waters, yeah.
Yes. So as we mentioned, this is an Axe POV, which is our first one from him, and I wanted more immediately.
I mean, we did get a little bit of the Axe POV in that Megamorphs book that we read last fortnight.
Yes, that's true.
But which kind of
had me thirsty for this book.
I feel like it kind of undercut this one a little bit because there's some. I'm thinking specifically of this is also the first one with a prologue where we get kind of Axe's
flashback
of the events leading up to the Animorphs finding him. And there's like a wham line at the end of it, which is like, Visser 3 had killed my brother. It was a terrible burden, but I had to. I knew that one day I would have to kill Visser 3. And it's like, we already knew that though, because of the Megamorphs book, because that was like a huge plot point in the Megamorphs book. So it did kind of undercut this big revelation wham line at the end of the prologue a little bit. I was like, well, yeah, duh, we know. Like,
we read the books, come on. I also like that was differently formatted about this book is how we have, I guess, Axe is keeping a diary, and so each of the chapters begins with a line from his diary, mostly about like his observations on human interactions and human culture and things like that. But they were very amusing, and I enjoyed having those. I would like more insights from Axe on just everything.
I think there's a danger with that of it being like cheesy, but I didn't find it cheesy at all. Like I thought, except maybe, and just this is kind of just in generally speaking to Axe as a narrator, I think the whole like alien from another world discovering new things could come off as cheesy in general, and it did a couple times. Like I'm thinking of the watching the movies and him being obsessed with chocolate thing. That was a little bit much, but like for the most part I thought it all seemed very believable, I guess, and natural, and it wasn't like forced. I was like, this is how an alien would think of this for the most part.
I agree. I think the scenes where she tries to use Axe as comedic relief is a little bit strange because that's not the kind of character he is. But I mean, I guess maybe that's where the comedy comes from. It's unexpected. But yeah, I did not care for those.
Yeah, I thought those were that and the chili scene later were pretty much the weakest.
Yes, but then when he just has like these off the cuff remarks where he like clearly just doesn't understand things, like in his diary he writes, "You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you just might find you get what you need." A famous human named Rolling Stone said that.
Right.
I don't know.
Like that was enjoyable when it's just like little things, but when it's like the whole scene is built around, Axe doesn't know how to human. I'm like, okay, well, a little bit silly, but it is also a book for children, so
y'all, Prince Jake, you need to start introducing him to delicious food so he doesn't freak out the first time he has it.
Right.
Y'all can be having some potlucks with your Cheetos and your gobstoppers.
That would require Prince Jake to have any sort of planning ability, and he clearly does not.
Well, speaking of Jake and his stupid plans, he's decided that the Animorphs deserve a break because they've done so much work lately. And so they decide to take Axe to the movies so he can become better acquainted with human culture. Now, okay, several things wrong with this. As we already know, Axe can only morph for 2 hours at a time, so he doesn't even get to see a whole movie. He just gets to watch half a movie, which, why would you do that to him?
Well, and also I feel like they could have let him see the whole movie if they picked an hour and a half movie, had him go to the mall as a human, go to the bathroom, morph out of human, morph back into human, go to the movie, watch the movie. He's still got a 30-minute window. But they didn't. Yeah. They, like, had him morph, or, like, go to a changing room. They're always using the changing rooms at the mall for morphing.
Yeah, just like that was their backup plan.
But they had, like, him morph far away from the mall, and then they all went to the mall together, and then they went to the movie, and then would have to leave, like, halfway through the movie. So I'm like, time management, Jacob. Time management. Please, be better at it.
He just, it's so
And
dumb.
also just the whole premise that Jake has of, like, we really need a day off. A day off from what, Jake? You don't train, you don't practice, you don't go acquire new morphs, you aren't team building. What are you taking a day off from? The only stuff you're doing is like, we have to do something as it arises because we don't practice and are ill-prepared, and Jake also gets mad when they practice on their own time. So, like, what are you taking a day off from, Jake?
Exactly. I don't know. He's just, like, so stressed out over, well, not nothing, but pretty much nothing.
It's like when I used to work at an amusement park over the summer, and, like, everybody who worked there were children, and, like, they would be like, I'm taking 5 days off next week because I just really need a day off. And I'm like, a day from what? Like, this is the only thing you're doing, and it's the summer. You're not like, this isn't stressful. You're selling plush toys to children. Like, you have days off already. Like, what are you talking about?
Gotta use up those vacation days, man.
We didn't have vacation days. We didn't have vacation days. It was a seasonal job. We didn't get PTO. You worked 3 months out of the year, and that was it.
It was a hard, 3 months.
Hard, rigorous 3 months.
Thought it would never end.
Oh, man.
So the movie trip is a bit of a disaster because Axe gets to try chocolate for the first time and he flips out and he like is crawling along the ground eating all the chocolate and snacks off the floor. And so they have to hustle him out of the theater. And then when doing so, they come across this man who appears to be a human controller whose Yeerk is dying. So he's like running around the mall yelling, "The Yeerks are here! The Yeerks are controlling us all! Ah, Yeerks!"
The Animorphs destroyed one of the Yeerk's Kandrona pools, in Rachel's last book, so they were hoping this is what would happen, but they didn't know the full effect that this would have because Axe was keeping some shit from them.
Yes, Axe keeps lots of secrets apparently from the Animorphs. So they're all excited because they're like, yay, people are gonna know because, like, surely not every police officer is a controller. And the police come and they, like, capture the Yeerk in a little test tube and the human is taken into custody. So they're all celebrating, except Axe, in his interior monologue, is like, little did they know. Furthering Jake's very good plan, the Animorphs then tried to take Axe to school, posing as Jake's cousin. Which
does watch, and this happens on page, as the police officer administers some sort of shot to the former controlee, killing him. So, like, Axe sees that, but the other Animorphs don't because they don't know that that's a thing they should be looking for.
Yes, I forgot about that. They then try to take Axe to school, which, like, in what universe can just, like, a random kid go to school with no note from a parent or anything? Just, like, show up and go to class?
I don't know. I think this... Well, I guess from a parent. I don't know. I do remember in, like, I want to say middle school, there was at least one time when someone had, like, a cousin, like literally this situation of a cousin visiting from out of town, and they were allowed to like shadow them or whatever. So I mean, like, that does happen, but yeah, I guess with no note from a parent. But I think you could make the argument, because I believe the teacher that they tell this to is the same teacher who is a controller and the Yeerk is dying, and so maybe he's just got other shit going on, like, in his brain to, like, really worry about this child that showed up in this class.
That could be very true. He does have other things on his mind, or, like, out of his mind. Anyway, yes, as we've alluded to, the teacher in the first class they go to is also a controller who's going through a similar thing where their Yeerk is dying in the middle of class. However, Chapman busts in, and no one but Jake and Axe notice this, I don't think.
Well, all the other kids have left, because Chapman tells it. Jake goes over to comfort him, and then Chapman, like, he goes and comforts him, and he's like, it's gonna be okay, you're gonna get through this, you're gonna be okay. And then Chapman comes in and is like, everybody get out. And then Jake's like, I need to stay, and Axe's like, nah, man, we gotta go. And then Chapman kills the guy.
Yeah, so he saves the Yeerk and then kills the teacher. And so Jake and the others confront Axe about this afterwards, and they're like, so you knew this was going to happen and you didn't tell us, you jerk. Also, like, wow, the morality of this all, we're responsible for the deaths of innocent people, ? And Axe is like, well, y'all wouldn't have destroyed the Kandrona if you knew innocent people would die, probably. And then the human morphs all get offended, and they are, like, officially fighting with Axe because he is not forthcoming with information and because he underestimates humans.
Which, like, I think Axe specifically brings up to Jake, like, he's like, you wouldn't do this if you knew it would kill Tom. And Jake kind of is like, you don't know what I would do, like, I would do this. Like, he implies, I don't think he outright states, like, yeah, I would kill my brother. But he does imply that he would still have gone through with it. And it's like, that's been pretty much...
Yeah, he says, like, you just don't understand humans, I guess. Which, like, okay, true, because he is an alien.
Yeah, and that's a good comeback in this moment. But it does fly completely in the face of the only characteristic / motivation that Jake has, which is he wants to save his brother. So, like, I don't know. I feel like Axe was probably right. Like, he probably wouldn't have gone through with it because that's his whole motivation for this whole thing. Like, I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I would like to see Jake in this situation, 13-year-old Jake, not the assumably old Jake of the future fighting off. But so they're all officially in a fight. But the next day, Marco comes to the forest to pump Axe for information and decides to take him to a bookshop so he can learn more about humans. So he's like, yeah, I know I'm supposed to be subtle about this, but I'm just going to be upfront and be like, I need to know what's up with you, man. Jake told me to be secretive about this, but I'm not going to be. Which, I guess props to Marco.
Yeah, I really liked Marco in this book. I thought he was a good amount of comedy. Like, he wasn't... Because we've had complaints before. Yeah, we've had complaints before about him, like, when he's the comic relief, it's very annoying. But I think he was the right amount of comic relief in this one, which was, like, snarky and, like, not whiny. Yes. It was good. Props to Marco.
So, Marco has forgotten his money that the group has like, banded together to buy Axe some books. And they have to go to Marco's house to pick it up. And while they're here, Axe ends up accidentally fixing a program that Marco's dad was working on and essentially advances human technology by 100 years on accident.
Whoopsie.
He was like, I thought it was a game where words were misspelled, so I fixed it. I played the game. And I guess it's like some sort of program. I don't know what... I couldn't remember what the humans were using it for, but the program essentially will allow Axe to transmit messages to the Andalite homeworld. But I guess, like, the humans put it in a telescope in an observatory or something.
I think it was I think it, like, boosted radio signals or something. Because it was, like, a radio telescope, and they were, like...
That makes sense.
Or something. He had said something about Z-space. It was a lot of, like, the good type of sci-fi that I'm okay with in this book, where I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, it could work that way. It's not a telepathic whale or a alien monster on Saturn. Like, so I'm cool with it.
You mean a god space whale?
Yeah, like, I'm just like, yeah, sure, do a little hand wave. Z-space, whatever, okay, cool. Like, I don't know what that means, but sure.
Axe realizes he has to destroy this technology, but before doing so, he decides to phone home. Because he misses his parents and stuff. Which is, you know.
Understandable.
He's 13.
He's a child.
Or, like, I guess the Andalite version of 13. So, he's a little homesick. But then he enlists the help of Tobias to break into the observatory where this program was put into place. Which, this book kind of has... Axe kind of has this thing going on with Tobias where he's like, I want to be best friends with Tobias, but I don't know if we can be best friends because, like, he is not an Andalite.
He wants to be Shorm, which is their word for someone who you trust to have their tail blade against your throat without killing you, which is very dramatic.
He's gonna get the matching necklaces. Yes. Where it's like SHO and then RM. Yeah. Exclamation point to make it even.
Shorm. Yeah. He believes that he and Tobias could be Shorm because they are so similar in that they are both outsiders and neither of them really have a place in this world and whatever. And it's all very beautiful and I love their relationship. I think they're great. But he feels he can't truly be Shorm with Tobias. Not because he's not an Andalite, because that would be like a racist thing, but because of what is the law called? Because I think this is a good time to bring it up.
The
Ciro's kindness, which is something. Ciro's kindness, which is this law that he keeps referring to that prevents him from telling Tobias and the other stuff. So he can't be true friends with Tobias because he feels he must keep secrets from them. So it's very deep. It's a very complex.
Yeah. Tobias ain't no Andalite. Sorry, Axe. I feel like poor Tobias is kind of getting the short end of the stick here because, like, he doesn't get to partake in all of the human interactions, and now he can't even partake in all the, I guess, forest buddy interactions.
Yeah. I mean, like, I guess
that's
now
what they are. I guess
our dreams of them reading Sweet Valley High can kind of come true because that wouldn't be breaking any rules, and we've introduced now that Axe can read because they've given him books and he's picked it up. So yeah, they can spend all their time out in the forest reading Sweet Valley, but never
or World Almanac.
Never being true Shorm.
There's always this divide. Like they could bond over.
Yeah, never being as true Shorm as Elizabeth and any character from Sweet Valley. I don't know. I can't remember any of the characters from Sweet Valley.
Yeah, I don't remember either. I don't know what I was going to go with either.
I can't even remember because it's...
I was hoping two names would come to me by the time I reached the end of my sentence.
They're twins, right? It's Elizabeth and... I want to say it's like...
It's actually Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, and they own a detective agency.
No, I'm pretty sure that's not it, though.
Who stole the Great Hope Diamond? What killed the dinosaurs?
All right, this is a reference to a thing, and I don't know what that thing is.
Oh my gosh, the Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen detective movies.
See, where
they own a detective agency?
I was never on the Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen train.
Oh my god, I loved everything to do with them.
I think I maybe watched one of their later movies when they were somewhat rom-com-y over at a friend's house in, like, middle school.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the one where I want to say they go to Australia because they're in the witness protection program. Is that a thing?
Oh, which one? Hold on, that sounds familiar. Let me see. Our Lips Are Sealed.
Yes. I think I went and saw that over at my friend Leah's house in like 7th grade, maybe. But that's the only Mary-Kate or Ashley Olsen content I ever consumed. I was never on that Olsen grind.
Oh my god! Please join us for our next podcast, where all we do is consume Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen TV movies.
Kill me. No, I don't know. That could be good.
No, we'll start in chronological order. We can skip Full House. I don't really want to watch all of Full House.
Yeah, there's some Full House alum who have gotten into some shit since then, right? So I don't know if
Yeah. So we'll start with To Grandmother's House We Go. Where are we? Yes. Ciro's kindness. Cannot be friends with Tobias because of Ciro's kindness. Ciro's kindness also requires Axe to destroy the technology that he has accidentally introduced to the humans. But before doing so, he's like, I'm gonna just use it real quick to call Mom and Dad. And he enlists the help of Tobias to break into the observatory where the program was put into place. And Tobias acts as a lookout while Axe... I feel like I'm saying Axe so much. I don't think I am that. Tobias keeps a lookout while Axe Skypes with the Andalites in his Andalite form. And I guess he just I don't know, he just dials, I guess it's not really dialing. He just aims randomly and he reaches some rando Andalite.
I think
he was like, wait, let me get a bigwig for you.
He says so it's somewhat telepathic, I think. It's because he thinks Andalite home, well, everything he can't say anything because he doesn't have a mouth, as we're reminded of many times in this book.
Yes, he has no mouth. He eats through his hooves.
He eats through his hooves, we find out. Which, all right.
He has mouths in his hooves.
I think it's more like a cell membrane where it's semi-permeable. Like his hooves are semi-permeable.
Yeah, where they just grind stuff up and then it enters into the hoof. I don't know, man. I'm just imagining lots of little mouths.
But he I think thinks Andalite home, which is interesting that they don't have a name for their planet.
Why didn't you tell us the name of the Andalite planet?
I mean, I was already kind of annoyed that they referred to Earth as Earth, because I'm like, why would they call it that? That doesn't make sense, but okay. But yeah, I think he just thinks Andalite home, and I guess there's a main transmission hub, because I think the guy he reaches is his job is to get transmissions from people. Because that seems to be...
Yeah, he's an operator.
Yes. Operator, how may I forward your call, sir?
Operator, put me through to my mummy and daddy.
Who should I tell them is calling?
Their baby Axe. My brother's dead.
Baby Axe, he's stuck on Earth, he got a boo-boo.
He's almost died several times. I'm sure he's gotten more than one boo-boo. Poor Axe.
Yeah, but he's been able to morph them away, so it's fine.
He has to talk to some bigwig prince on his planet, and he reveals that Elfangor is dead, and that Elfangor also gave humans the tech to morph, which is a huge no-no because of Ciro's mysterious kindness. And this bigwig prince realizes that the Andalites need Elfangor to remain an untarnished hero, so that they can rally around him as a symbol, I guess. So he convinces Axe to take the fall for this, which Axe does because he is just a child that's being manipulated into doing this. And also because maybe this guy is a controller, as it is hinted possibly later in the book.
I want to get into that. I guess we can get in. Well, no, I don't want to get into it right now. But
we'll wait for serious theories.
I don't know if I disagree with either the, like, I don't think the war prince, because this is another thing we find out in this, is that there's various levels of princeliness, and one of them is war prince, and I'm not sure if this guy's actually a war prince or a great leader or what, but which are all titles that they have.
Yeah, I think he's just a war prince, because I think there's just one great leader, because it's very democratic.
Yeah. So this dude, I don't think he's in the wrong for this plan. Like, I don't either. Yeah, like, I don't think if Axe was still buying the Star Trek rules of we need to leave humans alone, we cannot introduce more stuff to this civilization, like, if he was still buying those rules, I don't think he would be wrong to be like, no, I'll take the fall, because the guy's right, like, he's not gonna get in as much trouble as Elfangor, like, would, and it wouldn't, like, be as shameful as Elfangor doing it, right? So, like, I don't know if I think he's...
I guess the way he did it, though, is... I don't know. He just seemed really manipulative to me.
It was a little aggressive, I think, but also, like, they had limited time, and it was kind of like... I don't know. I don't have a good sense of if this guy is a villain or not.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, later on, it's kind of hinted that there might be controllers on their homeworld, again, that has no name.
Mm-hmm.
So Axe takes the fall for his brother, and then he is able to speak to his parents very briefly, in which he, like, goes ahead with this very formal vow to his father that he will kill Visser 3. But as they're about to get further into discussion, they are interrupted by a human controller, which, oh shit. But it's okay, because this controller is pissed at Visser 3 for allowing his beloved to die during the Kandrona raid drought. So, like, because the Kandrona is broken, the Earth Kandrona is broken, they've been having to shuttle people up to the ship in order to get the Kandrona rays. But Visser 3 has basically created a hierarchy of, like, people or Yeerks who are more important than others. And so I guess this particular controller's girlfriend was not important, and she did die. So he wants revenge.
Which brings up...
Which is interesting.
Something I wanted to talk about in depth with this book. And I don't know how much time we can spend on this, but I want to talk about it anyway.
All the time in the world.
Which is...
This is going to be a 3-hour long episode.
Yeah, and 2 of those hours are going to be devoted to this next topic I have, which is gender amongst the Andalites and Yeerks.
I didn't even think to question this.
Well, this first kind of came up a little bit...
I'm just a simple person.
Earlier.
Too stupid.
A little bit earlier.
Too stupid to think about things like gender.
No, a little... I was wondering about the gender of the Andalites for a while, because we've only heard of male-coded Andalites. Andalites that use he, him as pronouns. We don't know about genitalia, and I very much doubt from this child's book we ever will get into that.
They just think really hard and a child is born.
Maybe. So I kind of assumed that they might just be a one-gender species, that they just didn't have genders, because we've only heard men mentioned, or male Andalites mentioned. But then there's this weird, this kind of throwaway line in this book that made me wonder what's going on. First off, we are told that Axe has a mother and a father. So they do have a 2-parent system. So I was like, oh, I guess this is just a really, really super gendered society where there are women and they're, like, kept out of public life, essentially, because it seems like every other Andalite is a dude, except for Axe's mom. But then we get this throwaway line when he's at Cassie's, where Cassie is introducing Axe, disguised as Jake at the time, to her parents. Well, not introducing, because they already know Jake, but, you know, like, he's meeting her parents. And Axe, when seeing Cassie's father for the first time, says, he was a male, as all human fathers are, which to me implies...
Yes, I did highlight that,
yes,
actually.
Which to me implies that not all Andalite fathers are male.
Yeah.
Or that they don't have a gender at all, and that they're just all using he because it's, like, the default on Earth, that they're, like, going to our gendered. like norms.
Yeah.
So like I am really, really interested
that would
to
be,
see,
as an alien race, that would be most believable to me.
Right, that it's just like they're just one gender, but then it doesn't really make sense.
Or they don't care about gender.
Yeah, but it doesn't really make sense if they're just like one gender, I guess, to have a like, it would be weird to me if they just randomly kind of came up with the 2-parent system. Like, why not 3 parents? Why not 1 parent? Why not like a lot of parents? I don't know. Maybe some Andalites do have 8 parents. But then with kind of, so I was like, oh, so there is some weird gender stuff going on. And then with the Yeerks, it was kind of the same thing where I assumed that they just did not have a gender because they are slugs that don't really like do anything. But then like, I guess maybe they take the gender of their host. I don't know. Like, I don't know how gender works amongst the Yeerks. Because this Yeerk
that is
definitely...
a good question. Because, yeah, you wouldn't, like... Surely they wouldn't go to the pains of, like, female Yeerks go in female
right.
ways and male Yeerks go in male ways. Because to them, it's just like driving a car or another piece of machinery, right? Like,
right. But this Yeerk, who is in love with this other Yeerk, does definitely refer to her with female pronouns, I believe. He says, like, she did this, she did that. So I don't know if that's referring to the body or if they do have genders, because he was talking about the Yeerk. So I don't know if they just adopt the gender that they are in. How does reproduction work amongst the Yeerks? Like, I don't know.
That's a good question.
And again, I really don't think we're gonna ever get answers to this, like, because, like, that would be super fucking weird if we go into the, like, reproductive system of how Andalites and Yeerks bang. But, like, I do want to know,
maybe
like, what's
later
going
in
on.
the series when they're all older teens.
Yeah, and I mean, like, especially with the Andalites, it seems like maybe their gender isn't tied to their reproductive roles, which would be really interesting. But I don't know. This book was from the 90s. I don't know if that would be the direction that it would go in. Like, I think if this was written now, that would almost certainly be the direction that is being implied by that line. But I don't know. We'll be keeping a lookout.
Yeah, maybe it was just like a throwaway thing. Like, maybe fathers aren't a concept on the Andalite homeworld. Maybe he's like, he has two...
No, because he definitely says mother and father at one
him.
point. He calls them his mother and father. Which, I mean, maybe he's just applying
I don't know.
the human terms.
Yeah, like he's adopting the human terms.
I don't know. There's no way to tell.
To make it easier for us readers. Thanks, Axe. Helping us
Lots to get into
here.
with the gender politics of... And then we don't... Like, this doesn't even touch on the other gender issue, which is Axe's human body, which is combined from 2 women's DNA and 2... Well, not women. 2 girls' DNA and 2 boys' DNA. And it is implied that he is masculine presenting because we have things like the girls always saying, oh, he's so cute and whatever. And I think Rachel at one point is like, ooh, it's so awkward when I think he's cute. And then I'm like, oh my God, I see this thing that reminds me of Cassie. Ew, weird, no homo. Which, like, that was obnoxious.
Okay, Rachel, get over yourself.
Like, calm down, Rachel. But yeah, like, we don't actually know what the whole situation is with Axe's weird morph body DNA. He's using male pronouns. I guess we're just supposed to read him as male, but I don't know if Andalites have genders like that, you know?
Would Axe care if he was misgendered?
Yeah, I don't think he would, because I don't think
Probably not. Yeah.
it would matter to him, because I don't... I suspect that their conception...
Babby formed?
I suspect that their conception of gender is different in some way from humans, but I don't know how.
I think it's just like, since everything is so telepathic for them, it's just like Athena. They're just like, they're born from the minds of each other.
I mean, that would make sense to me. If they are just one no gender, I guess, if they're all neutrino, like in that Futurama episode. Yeah, I don't know. It seems a little annoying then that Axe defaults to using male gender markers in his description of, you know, like, everybody's a he. And it's like, oh. I mean, I guess I can't expect him to know better, but...
Yeah, and I don't really know what the gender politics climate of the mid to late 90s was. I was alive, but I only cared about Pokemon at that age, I think. So, like...
I mean, I definitely do not think that the publishing industry, the children's publishing industry specifically of the mid to late 90s would be interested in having a non-binary main character, because I don't think that was really even a thing that would be in the mind of many publishers. I don't think that they would get it. But I feel like Axe should be non-binary. And I feel like if this book was written now, he would be non-binary. But because he is being gendered as male and is presumably gendering himself as male, I guess we just have to accept that he is presenting as male and refer to him as male, I guess, is the long and short of it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I hadn't even really, like, stopped to, like, process that part of the book. I was so wrapped up in the story of it in the 170 pages.
Yeah, well, it's been something that I've been thinking about for a while of what's the deal with
I think that's
genders.
an interesting thought. I like to think about it now.
Yeah.
We'll have to keep searching for evidence when we return to the series finally. Yeah.
And speaking of returning to the series, I got us off on this tangent.
So, let's see. The human controller, he's very mad. And so he gives Axe some information. So Visser 3 is still an Andalite, and he still likes to privately eat in the Andalite way. So,
yeah, you didn't think
that human controller
that Axe's osmosis hooves would become such a major plot point in this book.
Which is funny. I thought K.A. Applegate did a really good job of like leading the hoof eating. Like she brought it up early in the book where Tobias was like, by the way, we've all been kind of curious, how is it you eat? And Axe is just like, well, I have hooves, and like leaves it at that because he doesn't understand why they wouldn't know. And then like we're brought to like Visser 3, and he has to eat privately, and he's in this nice meadow, and Axe is like, oh, I would also love to eat here. And they don't really explain the full logistics of it. And then at the end, Marco's like, okay, but really, seriously, how do you guys eat?
And then we find out that that's why they do we did the ritual that we said at the top of this podcast.
Yes.
That this is a thing that Axe does every morning, where he smushes some water and smushes some grass with his hooves and says all of these things, and they're like, oh, you're like eating when you do that, and he's like, yeah, because my hooves.
Yeah, so like taking communion kind of.
Yeah.
So Axe learns the next time Visser 3 is going to be like semi-alone, and he's like, well, that's my chance to kill him. And Tobias is also there, so obviously he also knows this information. But Axe is like swearing him to secrecy, and Tobias is like, all right, I won't tell.
And he also doesn't know that Axe doesn't know that Tobias knows the exact location because it was written down and only Axe saw it. But then later, when it is revealed that Tobias did see it, he's like, I'm a fucking hawk. Like, I can see like everything.
I'm a hawk, damn it.
I don't know
Stop
if it's
underestimating me.
True that hawks would be able to read things at a very far distance. That seems like maybe not accurate, but I don't know enough about Hawkeyes to...
Well...
Hawkeye. I don't know enough about Hawk's vision to dispute it.
And I don't think Hawks know enough about reading, so...
Well, yeah, but like Tobias has the residual... the residual...
No, I know, but like we can't find out in
we
real
can't
life
test
because... And then Tobias is like really suspicious though. He's like, so if your prince were to order you to tell the truth to someone, would you have to tell the truth? And Axe is like, yeah, I guess so. And Tobias is like, I totally won't use that to my advantage then. Yes, I swear myself to secrecy. So Axe sets out to kill Visser 3, but not before getting into another fight with Animorphs about the secrets he is keeping from them. They confront him again, and they're like, yo, dude, Marco's dad found that program you fixed, and you need to tell us why you had to go and destroy it and blah, blah, blah. And acts again. It's just like, I can't tell you nothing. I'm sorry. See Rose kindness, man. What can I do? And they're like, fine, we're kicking you out of the band. And he's like, fine, I was going to quit anyway. And
no, he's like, very gracious about it.
Yes, yeah.
He's like, thank you for all of your kindness. You've done more.
I hope to see you again someday. I hope I don't die. Yeah. Or he says something like, it was, you know, I didn't have long.
Yeah, anyway, he's like, it doesn't matter if I... like, am kicked out of the group because I'm about to go die anyway, so, like, whatever.
So, he, goes to this quiet meadow where Visser 3 likes to eat with his hooves, and he morphs into a rattlesnake, and this surprisingly works. He's able to bite Visser 3 a couple of times, but then he has to run away, and he tries to demorph while running away, which, like, why wouldn't you just stay a snake until you were, like, further away? But whatever.
I think probably because they see the snake, and Visser 3's like, get the snake, and everyone's, like, chasing after him, and I think it's, like, a speed issue. I think he can probably go faster as an Andalite than a snake.
But a snake is, like, much harder to see.
This is true. They aren't a giant blue deer. Also, okay, quick sidebar side note. Am I making up the blue thing? I know on the cover, he's blue, right? Of the, like, of one of these books. He's, like, a blue thing. But, like, they keep saying in this book that from a distance he looks like people would confuse him for a deer or a horse. And I'm like, but he's blue, though. So, no, they wouldn't.
Yeah, I'm looking on the wiki now.
Let's see. I'm wondering if the blue thing was just, like, an artistic license, and he's actually
they're
brown.
covered in blue fur.
Yeah, okay, so, like, what the fuck are they smoking? Where they're like, it's fine, from a distance, you look like a horse. No, he doesn't, he's blue.
He's blue, yeah. And he also has arms, like, no horse has arms.
He has eye stalks as well, but I can get over that because from a distance, yes, if I glanced at a brown, horse-shaped thing with maybe some extra appendages, and I just glanced at it from a far distance, I might be like, oh, horse. Wait, was it a horse? But if it's blue, I'm not gonna be like, that's a horse. At the very least, I'm gonna be like, that's a blue horse.
That color does not occur naturally very often in animals.
Right, like, I'm just like, no, nobody is gonna... Guys. Are they going...
Jake, you're dumb. Stop.
Are they going to the fucking drugstore and buying him, like, Clairol, nice and easy, and, like, dyeing that shit?
Yeah, they have to buy, like, 10 boxes at once.
It's
really arduous.
It just doesn't make sense. It's like they forgot that he was blue. I don't know.
Well, they just don't see color. They don't care if you're black or brown or blue.
Maybe it's like a blue... is it a blue heron, I think? Where it's actually gray, but it's like got a blue sheen to it. Maybe it's like that. And then, from a distance it looks like a gray horse. But it definitely isn't, because they also say deer, and there aren't gray deer. What the fuck are they talking about? There might be gray deer somewhere, but as far as I know, in the area where this takes place, which we have decided is basically California, basically San Francisco, I don't think there are gray deer. I definitely don't think there are blue horses. If there are, something's going on in San Francisco.
I want a blue horse. I'm going to go there and find out. Please let us know if you are from that area.
Please let us know what color are your horses.
Yes. So he bites him a couple times, and then he's running from some Hork-Bajir, and he decides to demorph, and so he's like half snake, half Andalite. He's like just got a body and no legs, and he's about to be killed by a Hork-Bajir. But suddenly a grizzly bear swoops in and kills it. The human children have come to save the day.
In their various powerful morphs.
Yes, they're predator morphs. They have the gorilla, they have the tiger, the bear, the wolf.
Yeah, I think that's...
Tobias
is a hawk. The poor boy. The poor lad.
So they're able to fight back the Hork-Bajir, but then Tobias notices with his special eyes that Visser 3, the Yeerk, abandons its host body because of the poison, and he dives into a nearby creek or something, and Tobias loses sight of him, and he starts freaking out and yelling at everybody to come find it. But Axe is focused on the Andalite, who is now free of the Yeerk, and the Andalite begs Axe to kill him. But fucking Axe, dude, he's like, I can't do it. You're an Andalite. I can't kill you. Which, like, you need to get hard, Axe.
Someone
like,
else should have done it, for real. So they could have been like, fine,
yes!
Axe, and then like fucking bit his
Where
neck.
was Rachel?
Right, where
She's
is
the one that was trying to kill him just like 2 books ago.
ridiculous. They lost their edge in this moment. I was like, you guys need to get it together.
They're too soft.
Also,
they took a break for one day to see a movie and they went soft.
This was Axe's whole thing earlier in this book where he's like, you guys wouldn't have been able to kill innocent humans because humans are too weak to do it, and like, no, bitch, you did the same thing. Which I guess maybe is the point. Maybe that's character growth. Maybe I shouldn't be arguing about it, but
it was not the character growth I wanted. I wanted you to kill it.
Right. I think that we are supposed to be on Axe's side in this. I think we are supposed to be like, yes, every life has value and there's always hope and he may be able to get away from the Yeerks one day. But like, I was definitely like, nah, man, should have killed him. Should have killed him. They wouldn't have an Andalite controller then anymore, probably.
Exactly. Then they'd have to, well, but then it would have been bad, I guess, because they wouldn't know what form Visser 3 had. But again, okay, I guess that's the point of morphing. Visser 3 could have any form at any time. But still, get rid of their power to morph.
Yeah.
That would save so many of their problems. Like, they're always outsmarted by the fact that Visser 3 can turn into a giant alien that eats everything in its path.
Right, like that's basically every climax of these books is Visser 3 turns into a giant mouth and eats them. But then they have to punch him to get away. Exactly.
Or have whales save him. Like, where was Jake? Jake, the one who was supposedly able to make the tough calls.
Right.
Where were you, Jake?
I wonder if perhaps this, I can't remember if it's stated, if this conversation, because we know that thought speech can be limited to just the people that you want to hear it, maybe this Andalite was only talking to Axe.
That could be.
In which case, all right, fine. But definitely if he was just shouting this stuff,
okay, but then here's my other thing. What if they took their giant predator bodies and took the Andalite with them?
Right. I mean, man.
Then they could have had like a full-grown Andalite adult helping them fight.
Do they have a... I mean, I guess the elephant would be the best choice. I don't think anything else could carry.
Can drag. Gorilla can drag.
Gorilla can drag, you're right. I don't know though. How much do Andalites weigh and how much do gorilla drag?
That is a good question. But I feel like the combined strength of a gorilla, a grizzly bear, and like they could like get a little sled and have the Andalite boy pull it.
I don't think that would work. I think you either need the elephant or the gorilla to be, because they are the only ones with an appendage that can pick up, right? Something of that size. Yeah. So you could either, like you said, gorilla drag, or elephant picks it up with its... I literally just forgot the word for trunk and was going to say tooth, and that's just not correct.
His big curvy tooth that can move about as it pleases.
Well, they could actually, he could do that too, I guess. They could pick him up with his tusks.
Yeah. There's a lot of options here.
But I don't think we can have a four animals working in harmony to carry him scenario. I don't think that would
Certainly not with Prince Jake as their leader.
Well.
Or here's the other thing. What if they all touched him and then they could all morph into Andalites? Oh my god. And then they wouldn't have to, like,
they could
hide their humanness.
They could also do that with Axe. They could have done this. 3 or 4 books ago.
You know what? You know what they should have done? They should have all touched the Yeerk that was inside Jake, and they could have morphed into Yeerks.
But I don't know what advantage that would give them. Ever.
I don't know.
In any way.
They could, though.
I mean, they could.
Then they could go inside of someone's brain and fight another Yeerk.
They should be touching everything, and we've already been over this. So, like, in the sense of...
There is no limit to the amount of morphs these children can have.
But in the sense of, like...
in case you ever need to hide as a slug.
Yes. I just don't know when that would come up, though, because I think anytime that they need to pretend to be a Yeerk, they can just be like, hi, I'm a human Yeerk controller. I think that pretty much has the same effect. You know who they should have been touching?
I don't know.
Which, I don't know if this got into it. If you can acquire dead animals, But that Hork-Bajir, Axe, I think he took, Rachel took down a Hork-Bajir, I'm pretty sure. All of them should be up on that old living lawnmower and get some knife action.
Yes, absolutely. Talking about apex predators.
Mm-hmm.
There's your firepower.
Yeah.
These kids are so dumb.
They're bad at this.
I could do this so much better.
And I mean, we can blame bad leadership. We can blame that they're 13, but like, man, they're gonna need to get it together if they're ever gonna win.
Excuse at this point. Honestly, you give a kid unlimited power, they're gonna experiment with it.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Anyway, stupid. This Andalite's like, yo, bro, it's alright, I understand you can't kill me, so just tell my family I love them, I'm still fighting, I ain't gonna give up hope. And he passes out, I guess. I don't know. He doesn't die.
And also that there are Yeerks on the Andalite home planet. This is when we find that out.
Oh yeah, that was the really big thing that we needed to see. He's like, yeah, their influence is beyond what we've imagined. They're on the home world.
And you kept saying like, oh, maybe this guy's a controller, maybe there are controllers there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's the case because the Yeerks are still very I think even in that future vision from the last book proper, they say something about Vitzer 3 still being the only one with an Andalite body.
Oh.
Right? I think.
Is true.
So I don't know if we are to assume...
So is it a continuity error?
Yes, if it's a continuity error, if people just haven't gotten the news that they're... Like, I guess if they're spies, maybe other Yeerks don't know about it. Like, maybe only Visser 1 knows this plan or something, or whatever is bigger than that big, scary Sauron figure.
The Council of 7 or whatever it was.
Or if there's other animals, maybe, on the Andalite home planet that they have... Yeah. Like, we know there's other stuff on the Andalite homeworld, so maybe they're just in other things.
Yeah, that could be. Because, I don't know, Axe kind of, like, implied in this book that if you're an Andalite, you can tell if someone is a controller just by looking at them. Wasn't there just, like, a throwaway line?
I don't remember that specifically.
I wonder if I could find that. I don't know. I could have swore I read something where, like, Axe seemed to imply that Andalites could tell someone was a controller just by looking at them.
I don't think so, because there have been times when Axe has been surprised by someone being a controller.
That's true.
So either some of them have that power, or Axe is just very stupid.
I believe that.
Yeah, maybe.
Let's see. The book is almost over. Okay, so Axe, he makes one more phone call, and he tells them to give a message to this guy's family, and the prince that he's talking to, the bigwig prince, is like, oh, that name. And Axe is like, yeah, I know you know who that is. Also, suck it, I love Earth, I love the Animorphs, I'm going to tell them all about our secrets. And so he does. He tells the Animorphs that there used to be an Andalite leader named Zero, and he was so kind. And as an act of kindness, he is the one that gave the Yeerks advanced technology so that they could see the stars. And it wasn't until it was too late that they realized the Yeerks were invading other planets, taking over entire species and races, and the Andalites forever felt extremely guilty about this, and they feel like it is their responsibility to eradicate the Yeerks from the galaxy, and they also vowed to never interfere with another life form's advancement ever again. That's Zero's kindness. But then the human Animorphs were like, we don't blame that guy, because we understand that he was trying to do a good thing, and you gotta keep trying to do good things. And they're all friends again. The end.
Yep. Man. What a book.
Man. I know. I thought it was kind of like a nice place to leave off there, because this feels like the end of phase 1, right?
Yeah.
Like, if this was the MCU.
Except with fewer clunkers.
Yeah, there's a couple stinkers in there. But yeah, so that was The Alien by K.A. Applegate, book number 8 in the Animorphs series. What was which one do you want to talk about first? Morbid moment, MVP, MVM, I guess.
I'm gonna be obnoxious this week and like kind of not really do the assignment on most of these. So let's start with MVM, because that's the one that I actually have an answer for.
Okay. Who was it?
My most valuable morph was my boy Tobias.
Mine too.
Yes, he's such a good, sweet boy.
Tobias is the best.
I love him so much. It's amazing how often he's most valuable morph, considering he can't fucking morph.
Very true, very true. But, you know, he is doing the most he can with the little body that he has.
Yes, and he's definitely the heart and soul of this team right now. He's keeping it. I think we kind of saw early on, and I'm really looking forward to when we get back to Animorphs another Tobias viewpoint, because it's been a while since we've had one. I think Tobias went through like his dark night of the soul real early on in the series, book 3, and kind of came through on the other side, and he's really been stronger for it and has really been able to like kind of pull people through these situations. And he's also the most like he's thinking. He's the most, I don't want to say manipulative, but he's the one who's able to come up with creative solutions pretty easily, right? Like, he came up with the solution in this one of like he
thinks outside the box.
He's not going to betray Axe's confidence. He's going to follow Axe's own rules of when Jake orders Jake, who is as Tobias points out to Axe, well, he's pretty much my prince too, which we find out in this book kind of how the prince thing works. With it's basically like a title, a military title, pretty much, like,
yes,
except not really just military, because he says like, oh, everyone has a prince, so I guess I don't know. But he's the person who's in charge of him. They're a very hierarchical society, and the person who's in charge of you is your prince. And so Jake, according to Axe's rules, is everybody's prince. And so when Tobias is ordered by Jake to tell him what happened, he's like, cool, now I can spill it all, and I'm not going to be breaking Axe's confidence. So in this way, he protects Axe's feelings and also protects Axe physically. And, you know, him and Axe, best friends for life. I'm super into their whole dynamic, their whole relationship.
I love them.
Yeah,
I want like a buddy Animorphs book with them. I'm going off on their own thing.
I really think that this book also was stronger for the fact that there was fewer scenes with all of the Animorphs banding together. I think we got more individual character beats from our viewpoint character and more of the individual relationship with Tobias, rather than kind of like, oh, us becoming stronger as a team. And we've gotten a little bit of that here and there, but I think it was nice in this book that everybody else kind of took a backseat.
Yeah, and I also like that this was kind of the first big like group conflict they had, right? So like from the beginning, we've always had Marco's like, I don't want to do it, and we've always had a little bit of an issue with Rachel being a little too headstrong and wanting to do too much. But this is the first time where they're like really pissed off at somebody that they're working with, and I think that brought out a lot of like, I don't know, interesting group dynamics where Rachel and Marco seem to have this like kind of grudge maybe against other alien races, and thinking like humans are weak, and like they were like, Marco was really quick to be like, oh, Axe just wants to have power over us because we're just stupid humans, you know? Like, I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, and I think it was a good way to approach this conflict. I think it worked well.
Right, yeah. I think it was just well done. Like the pacing and the like, I guess the gravity behind everyone's decisions, and I don't know. K.A. Applegate, just another home run. I'm just looking at K.A. Applegate's page on the Animorphs wiki, and her son's name is Jake.
Oh no. Oh no.
But he wasn't born until 1997, so she definitely named her son after her character, right?
That's not a good look.
That's my morbid moment. Now, my morbid moment is definitely like not the fact that the controllers are killing the humans after not being controlled, but that like the fact that the kids found out about it the way they did, where like basically Jake saw Chapman come in and murder someone. Right. And I'm interested to getting back to Jake's point of view. I hate to say that, but like to find out how that affected him and like what he's thinking now about what could possibly happen to Tom if he continues on in the way they are. Will that make him an even worse leader? I don't know.
Probably. There was a good bit of body horror in that whole like kind of segment too, where which just was going to be my morbid moment for this week, when the controlees. See, I feel like we should refer to the bodies that are being controlled as the controlees, because I think the controllers are the Yeerks. I think that's how I'm kind of parsing
so the formerly controlled.
Formerly controlled, or I'm just gonna go with controlee because I like how it sounds. But when the controlees kind of like wake up and are trying to get the Yeerks out of their head, they like start like scratching at their head, and there's like when the teacher is doing it, he's like bleeding because he's scratched, like he's like pulling at his like scalp essentially.
It's like in the ruins.
Yeah, it was real gross. So that was gonna be my most morbid. But then I got to the end of this book, and I didn't really want to have a most morbid moment this week because I thought it ended on such a hopeful note that I wanted to share this moment instead, because it choked me up a little bit, and it was from Jake, which is weird. But when Axe is revealing this whole thing that you kind of alluded to, when Axe is revealing Zero's kindness and the law and whatever, he's confused that the other Animorphs seem to be happy with this story, and he says, "Don't you understand? Your world is threatened by the Yeerks because of my people." Prince Jake nodded. "Yes, we understand, Axe. A long time ago, someone tried to be nice, and it was a disaster. This Zero person tried to be a good guy. He hoped all the different people of the galaxy would get along, that we'd all go to the stars together." Which, just that line, like, that we'd all go to the stars together, is, like, I don't know, I, like, the whole Zero story is such a sweet story, and I like how the Animorphs see it as that, and then, Axe responds, "Yes, and the result was terrible," and Cassie says, "You don't stop hoping just because it doesn't always work out. You get more careful, you get wiser maybe, but you keep hoping." And that was such a nice, like, this book is so pure. Like, it's so good. It's such a good moment. I love the ending.
I like that it's not getting too bogged down in the angst.
Yes. When we were getting into the series at the start of this project, like, looking it up, it was like, oh, this series deals with the horrors of war and like all these moral issues. I'm like, it's a kid's book, like it obviously doesn't. It does. It goes really hard, and like,
no lie,
just like I think it does such a good job of being like, shit is terrible and we know it's terrible, but we're gonna keep going anyway. And that's a message I really like. It's a message we need in these times.
It does it a lot better than some adult literature does. So
what's our third one? What's our third segment?
Series theories. Where do you think it's gonna go from here? And we have a long gap between our readings, so
well, I kind of wanted to just, because I don't really have any more theories besides the ones I kind of touched on in the episode, I wanted to point out that I am vindicated in this book with my initial distrust of the Andalites.
Yes, that is true.
So chalk one up on the board for me. My only other theory is, it's more of a query, I guess. Is Axe's name a pun?
Axe's name a pun? On what?
So what's his full name?
Aximili Escaruth Isthel. So
Aximili would be one way to pronounce that. Aximili would also be a way to pronounce that, like facsimile. Like a thing that looks like another thing, like a thing that morphs into other things. Is that intentional?
I don't know.
I also did, since I'm on the subject of names and I brought up the whole gender thing, this isn't really a theory, just kind of something I want to look for. I talked about, we got more of the Andalite culture in this book. And I feel like I just love, I think she does such a good job of like sprinkling in these details, like like all fathers on earth thing, and the thing you said about Rolling Stones and how he doesn't realize that's not a name and whatever. Both of him misunderstanding our culture and also like these little hints at what their culture is like without just like dumping exposition on us. Because there is a moment when he is calling the Andalite homeworld and they say like, oh, you're not an authorized sender, what's your name? And he tells us his full name and his like lineage, and this is going to be a lot of nonsense sounds, but bear with me. He says, my name is Aximili Iskaruth Istil, brother of Elfangor, Sereniel, Shamtul, son of Nuerlin, Cyranil Kuraf, and Forlay Iskaruth Maheen. So, what is interesting about that is that we have his whole family's names. First off, we don't get genders associated with the parents. We don't know which one is the mother, which one's the father, if they are gendered in that way or whatever. The children share the second name, the middle name, of one of the parents, but it's not the same parent. So this isn't a patriarchal or matriarchal society. It's some sort of dual situation because one of the parents is Nuerlin Cyranil Kuraf, and Elfingor's full name is Elfingor Cyranil Shamtul, and the other parent is Forlay Iskaruth Maheen, and Ax's full name is Aximili Iskaruth Istil. So the only names that are shared, they don't share last names at all. They share middle names. Siblings don't share the same middle name, but they both share the middle name of one of their parents. So I don't know what that means, but it tells me something about this culture, and that's that they don't have...
something we didn't know before.
Well, that they don't have a specifically patrilineal or matrilineal society. So that's interesting.
I just want, like, the World Almanac, but for Andalites.
Yeah.
I would read that
from
cover to cover.
I'm guessing, kind of looking ahead, because I know that some of the companion books are specifically, like, the Andalite War and stuff like that. I know there's one that's Hork-Bajir, and I think there are, like, a few that are... I haven't looked super into it because I don't want to spoil stuff for me, but I know that there are books that are Andalite-specific about other Andalite characters. So I am guessing eventually we will get more of a flushed-out world of the Andalites, but it's going to be a ways off.
Oh my god, we have so much to look forward to. This is excellent.
Speaking of looking forward to, now that we have, I think, unless there's anything else you want to talk about with this book?
Nah, that's it. That's it for the Animorphs for now, guys. Just gonna put them on the shelf and save them for a rainy day.
Yes, so let's talk about what is coming up so that you guys are prepared. Next fortnight, we will be relaunching the podcast. It's going to be, as we've said before, same RSS feed. If you're subscribed, you should still be subscribed.
Yeah, don't go anywhere.
We are moving away from the HateRead branding into a little bit what the podcast was originally supposed to be, which is getting us to read things that we normally wouldn't. So the way this is going to work from now on, instead of us just going back and forth bringing challenges, we're going to do units on either genres or tropes, things that we don't normally read. So one of us will bring, it'll be, I think we've decided 3 books long for each unit. The first book will be either a book that has stirred up a lot of controversy that is in that genre or that trope, or a book like the Rewind episodes we've done that we've read in the past and didn't like. The second book in the unit will be a book that is like a prime example of that genre.
The best example.
Or the oldest example, something like that. And then the third book will be a book that the other person picks out to kind of try to find a book in that genre or trope that we will like. It's still going to be every other week. We're going to be doing 2 units at once. So one that Anna picks and one that I pick.
Yeah, so you're not like overburdened, like if you really don't like a certain genre.
Right. We are too much of it at once. Still taking submissions, both in terms of if we announce a unit and you guys are like, oh, I've got the perfect book for that, we might do that. But if you have a book that you're like, this book just sucks unbelievably, or if you're like, this book is bonkers, you guys need to read it, we are still taking time in the schedule to do reader submissions.
Yes, absolutely.
We are going to be able to post the schedule further out because we're doing it this way. So there's going to be like, it's going to be more fleshed out. If not this specific book, at least kind of like what type of book it'll be. So with all of that said, I know that was like a lot of info and a lot of you guys probably don't care, but...
and we'll probably go over it again next fortnight anyway.
But with all that said, we would like to now announce both what our first unit and the first book in that unit is going to be, and the name of the podcast as of next fortnight.
Yes, so next fortnight, we will be tackling a book that I'm not excited about at all. I don't know. You're probably not excited about it either.
I'm very excited about it, actually, because it's... Well, go ahead and tell us what it is, and I'll say why I'm excited.
Yes. we are going to be reading The Mister by E.L. James, most famous for being the author of 50 Shades of Grey.
Yes.
But we've both been trying to keep ourselves in the complete dark about this book.
Mm-hmm.
I did, like, read one little thing that I'm like, I already hate it, but then I've stopped reading reviews or anything else about it. Goodreads has this listed as new adult, so it's kind of going to be launching my unit, I guess, of new adult. I haven't really read any new adult or have, like, really a desire to read new adult. I like, I guess, old adult or young adult, but not necessarily new adult. So this will be the first book in that 3-book series.
Yes.
Yay.
I have read a fair bit of new adult. I wouldn't say, like, I'm an expert on it or anything, but I do read some new adult occasionally. So I'm excited because I generally like new adult, and I'm excited for this book specifically because I never read 50 Shades. I did watch the first movie just to see what was going on. I never read it, but I've read so many, like, sporking, so many, like, takedowns.
Also same.
And it's so funny. So I could never do 50 Shades on this podcast because I think I know too much about, like, what other people
too influenced.
Yeah, like, people have already made all the jokes. I don't want to steal other people's jokes.
Yes.
But I'm hoping this is as much of a train wreck as that is, because it's gonna be so good. I really appreciate that we've had a lot of people say how much they like the Animorphs series, and it's great that, and going forward, it's great that, like, people still like hearing us talk about stuff that we don't hate. But I do still really like ranting about stupid shit, so I'm excited that we're going to get a little bit of that, I think, next fortnight.
Yes. I'm a little bit excited to have a return to form, but also excited to not dread reading and recording an episode every 2 weeks.
It's going to be nice that it'll be mixed up a little bit. That's not always going to be terrible, but
yes,
I think this is one of those books that might be
hopefully we're not so
spectacularly
set
terrible,
in our ways.
So it should be exciting, and I really am looking forward to it.
Yeah, and also, like, just please keep sending your submissions because you never know, like, your submission might spark an entirely new unit for us.
Yeah.
So yes, please don't feel like we are not looking for them.
Yeah, and it can be like I said, I think both of the units that we're starting off with, Anna's is new adult and mine is going to be I'll go ahead and announce this now so that you can get hyped for it too. Mine is going to be cyberpunk, so that'll be fun. But yeah, if you've got a genre, we're looking for kind of like smaller genres that you think maybe we aren't familiar with, more niche, or if there's like a trope, because we have discussed maybe doing tropes too, of like tropes that we don't like or haven't liked in the past, or haven't read anything
triangle,
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So if you've got a suggestion for a book or a suggestion for a unit, even I've got a few lined up already that I know we're gonna get into, but shoot them our way.
Please do. And so with the new format, we should also talk about the new title. So, drum roll, everyone listening, please. I will pause here for you to give a drum roll. I hope you joined in with our drum roll. The new title is... You can say it if you want.
Oh, Shelf-Aware. Shelf-Aware Podcast.
Da-da-da-da!
So we are in the process of changing all of our media tags and stuff like that, but for right now...
So, like, we'll be making announcements on our Twitter and stuff, but... I believe with the way that Twitter works, you will still be following us when we change our name. Same with Instagram. The email, you can still email our current email. It'll be everything is going to be forwarded into the same inbox.
Yeah, we're going to keep that email active just so that, like, if people listen to old episodes, they can still email us and whatever. A little harder to do with Twitter because we are going to be changing the name. But for right now, you can follow us on Twitter at HateReadCast. If you happen to know what color horses are in San Francisco, tweet at us or email us if you have suggestions, comments, concerns, anything at all. We'd love to hear from you. HateReadCast@gmail.com. For now. It will change soon.
As always, thank you to Ben Cope for the use of our theme song. You can check out his YouTube channel in our show notes below. And we are also on all of your favorite podcast aggregating platforms. So if you haven't followed or subscribed to us, you definitely should, because we don't want to lose you in our big migration to a new name.
Yeah, we love you.
So please, for your own sake, do it.
subscribe. If you are on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, if you use that, go ahead and shoot us a 5-star review. Spoiler for something coming up, but there may be an incentive to do that 5-star review if you haven't already. Little fun teaser there for something coming next fortnight we'll be talking about.
Yes. And if you don't use Apple Podcasts, that's okay, because you can still tell people all about our podcast and tell them it's a great time to start, because we are, kind of launching on this new journey. They can come along with us and not feel like they're super behind on all of our fabulous in-jokes.
I mean, we're still going to be referring to Good Time Slime, but that's fine.
Very true. And Old Man Shovelhands. And all of the good stuff.
I think you can probably get what Good Time Slime is from context, so that one will be okay.
Old Man Shovelhands, maybe not so much, but, Are you really a fan if you haven't listened to every episode 100 times?
Yes, we love you all equally.
In the words of K.A. Applegate, the animal I morph the most is the human animal. They are weak, slow, half-blind, and unstable, but no Andalite should laugh at them. Humans rule their planet, and as the human Rachel once said, Earth is a tough neighborhood.
I like that.
I like that quote, too. It's cute. It's not funny, but...
It's not funny, but we're in a heartfelt mood at the end of this episode.
That is true. That is true.
Lori Loughlin was Lori Loughlin Full House, or was that Sweeten? Sweeten was the one who was Full House, right? Am I making that up?
What was?
What's her face? Something Sweeten, who was in the college admission scandal with Lori Loughlin. One of them was Full House, weren't they?
What's her name? Felicity Huffman. She's in Desperate Housewives.
Right, no, but Elizabeth. Is it Elizabeth? Do I just think every woman's name is Elizabeth? Is it Elizabeth?
Probably.
Sweeten?
Elizabeth.
Was she in Full House? Hold on, I have to look this up now. I'm sorry.
You'll have to look up Full House. I never really watched it.
No, not Elizabeth Sweeten. Jodie Sweeten. Jodie Sweeten.
There you
go. That's it. Wasn't she in the college admission scandal recently?
Probably.
I think
I only know for sure of what's her name, and then the other thing.
Lori Loughlin.
I just said.
And yeah.
And Felicity Huffman. Those are the only two that I know.
Am I slandering Jodie Sweeten right now? Was she not involved in this? Maybe I'm slandering Jodie Sweeten. Oh, wait, hold on. Okay, Lori Loughlin was in Full House, though, which I didn't realize until right now. Because, okay, Lori Loughlin was in Full House and was in the college admission scandal. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. Was Jodie Sweeten involved in the college admission scandal?
I have no idea.
I'm looking at this. Okay, no, I don't think she was. I want to retract my former statements. As far as I know, Jodie Sweeten was not involved.
I don't think she was. I think it was just the older one.
I think I just slandered Jodie Sweeten. I'm sorry, Jodie Sweeten. I've never seen anything you're in.
This is all going so well.
This is really going well. Oh man! But I'm glad we solved it because I
actually also now.
Okay.
What even happened? Where are we?